They say the West Coast Trail isn't just a hike. It's a rite of passage. 75 kilometers of raw, untamed beauty. Mud, ladders, river crossings, and moments that will push you to your limits. But in between, the kind of views that will make you stop in your tracks. The kind of adventure that stays with you forever. Welcome to the West Coast Trail. When my friend Chris Skinner from Playwest Mountain Experiences invited me on his 2024 West Coast Trail adventure, I'll be honest, I really didn't know much about the trail.
Give us away, there you go. Cheers. Thanks, buddy.
Now, after jumping on Google, I found tons of amazing reviews. Incredible, stunning, bucket list. But I will say I did find one comment that said, more of a survival walk disguised as a scenic hike. Now that just seems a little bit dramatic. That's dramatic, right? So before we go any further, I guess I should introduce myself. I'm Hunter. Chris has asked me to come on this adventure to kind of document what he does with Playwest Mountain Experiences. As a guide with Playwest, Chris isn't here just to hike. He's here to keep us on track, out of trouble, and ideally in one piece. As a professional guide, Chris has actually done the West Coast Trail multiple times. So while we're out here trying to keep our heads above water, don't be surprised if you look over just to see him thriving. On day one, we kind of launched from Gordon River, which is our start point. We have about 5 kilometers to our first campsite, which is called Thrashers. People have been preparing mentally and physically for months, and as we chip away through the West Coast Trail, we're reminded of the trail's rich history. Here we find the Empire, essentially a steam-powered winch that has been left as a reminder from when the trail was built in 1907. Although we only have about 5 kilometers to our first campsite, shortly after this marks the highest point of the West Coast Trail. This is the most elevation that we'll see on the West Coast Trail, approximately 230 meters or 755 feet. As we arrive at Thrashers, Chris is going to get dinner sorted for us. Our number one priority is get our tent up, get into our evening clothes, and basically just get ready for tomorrow. Day 2 is a big one. On day 2, our intention is to move all the way from Thrashers to Campers, but in doing so, we have to navigate a 2-kilometer stretch of rugged coastal terrain that is primarily boulders of variable sizes. There's no primary route, and depending on the tide and your comfort level, it's basically choose your own adventure.
Hey guys, Skinner from Playwest here. We're on our day 2 West Coast Trail 2024. Making our way through the Owens Point boulder field. Challenging terrain. Group is crushing it, and we're gonna get her done. Making good choices, making good time.
One thing I will say is that managing the tide on the West Coast Trail is so important for safety and navigation. Certain sections of trail, including the beach routes and surge channels, become impassable or super dangerous at high tide. Chris has been here to kind of manage that tide table. That way we avoid being trapped or swept away or even forced into a difficult inland detour. This is your sign to get familiar with the tide table. You will 100% regret not being able to take in and enjoy one of the most insane natural features that the West Coast Trail has to offer. Owens Point. After we got through Owen's Point, for the first time we were out under the shelving rock. This makes for incredible travel. A little wet at times, but no mud. The scenery was amazing, but also our first real wildlife encounter. Now my experience with marine life is limited, but I'm pretty sure that this is a gray whale. It's common for them to hang out offshore, roll around in the kelp beds, and just be social. Not long after that, we found a great spot with some seals. For the last few kilometers, we have to tuck back into the forest to get to campers. Basically, any chance you have to fill up your water bottle, you should take it. Chris has got plenty of chlorine tablets for us, so the water has always been safe to drink. Given the opportunity, when you get to camp, you should probably go for a quick swim just to show off your athleticism. A quick fire became somewhat of a luxury in our nightly routine. And if you think I had any problem putting Ellie to work, well, Chris was once again taking care of dinner. Now I know the details revolving around camp have been a bit of a slow drip, but basically we would start each day with a coffee, and Chris would be the one taking care of us there as well.
Hey, good morning team. It's day 3 and it's breakfast time. Coconut quinoa porridge with blueberries.
Very nice.
Come on, let's go.
Okay, we are just about to head off from campers. Apparently today's a mud day. Some of us have gaiters. Some of us don't. We'll see how this goes.
Because I don't have the flexibility to put them on the right way.
Okay.
Yeah, today's a real tough day. Campers to Walbrand always leaves people a little tired. It's a working day. Challenge all the way.
So is this supposed to be like the hardest day?
Oh, okay.
Oh, are you okay?
Woo. Whoa.
As we progress through the West Coast Trail, it's important to recognize whose land we're walking on. This trail runs through the traditional territories of the Huayat, Dididat, and Pachidat First Nations. These people lived here for generations, long before it became a hiking route. What we now call the trail was once a network of travel and trade routes used by the indigenous communities who knew this coastline better than anyone. Later, it became a life-saving trail after shipwrecks devastated the shores, and even then, it was indigenous knowledge and guidance that helped shape its existence. As we hike, camp, and explore the West Coast Trail, we do so with gratitude and respect for the First Nations who have literally built the bridges and continue to care for the land. Now by day 4, you start to get pretty ripe. It's important to get yourself into camp and try to look after your body the best you can, because the conditions and the mileage certainly start to take its toll. One of our campers started to have some issues with her feet, but we just popped a few blisters, taped a few toes, and she was pretty much good to go after that. Proper foot care is essential on the West Coast Trail. You want to avoid getting blisters or infections, anything that could take you off the trail. John does a video for his wife every day. Hold on. Off the rip.
Good morning, West Coast Tsunami. How are we doing today? All right. Here we are at Walbrand, beloved by West Coast Trail hikers and seagulls alike. We had a wonderful day yesterday. We learned a couple more English words. First word, how do we spell fun, everybody?
M-U-D, baby.
Right on, M-U-D. And here we go, interactive time. La-ders. La-ders. Right on, here we go. We're on our way to Cribs today, down the beach. It's beach day. Which way to the beach, Chris? Over there. We're going over there. Bye for now.
I will say that John's speech had the crew absolutely buzzing. We were ready to take on this river crossing, followed by a little toe flossing.
I can't believe there's video on this. You're sick. You know that?
I need to see it. Now, one thing I will say is we got incredible variety in terms of weather on the West Coast Trail. Today was super moody, but made for some of the most incredible imagery, some of my favorite from the entire trip. Same thing. Taylor, how does Chris describe the beach walking?
It's pea gravel.
I'm not sure if the reference is for gravel soaked in pea or if it's pea-sized gravel. As we made our way to Cribs, we were met by super cool outcroppings and sea stacks. I feel like the Oregon coast gets lots of attention for topography like this, but Vancouver Island gave me plenty of reasons to take my camera out. This image introduces the Carmana Point Light Station, and it's actually one of the oldest lighthouses on Vancouver Island. It was built in 1891, and it's actually still active today with the lifeguard on duty.
All right, so we're just coming into Cribs on day 4. Left Walbrand today. A little bit of a moody day, which is nice. It's nice not to have a big sunny day. And awesome trip on the Shelving Rock. Lots of stuff to look at. I mean, classic West Coast Trail. One of my favorite camp spots coming up here, Cribs.
Now, I think this is a great time to mention the incredible amount of wildlife diversity you could encounter on the West Coast Trail. There's all kinds of animals, anything from river otters, cougars, even wolves. Now, we didn't actually see any wolves, but we did see a few bears. We had a healthy distance between Mama and her cub here, and we did run into a nice boar down the beach, and I was able to get one image of him before he jetted off into the bush. Leave no trace, give them space, keep the wildlife wild. Today we hit the ground running with more moody weather on the West Coast Trail. The terrain offered incredible variety, challenging, yet fun. But more importantly, today marks the halfway point, as well as the day we get to go to the Crab Shack. Just a quick dusting and you're back to business. Yep, hikers are pretty over trail mix and dusty old granola bars by this point, and it's a well-known fact that the Crab Shack is a West Coast Trail highlight, to say the least. The Crab Shack is located at the Nitnat Narrows and has been family owned and operated for about 49 years by members of the Dididat First Nations. Members have lived along this coastline for generations, serving freshly caught Dungeness crab cooked to order. It's absolutely insane. Stopping here isn't just about the food, it's a chance to support the local community and hear stories about the area's rich history.
Hey guys, we're at the Crab Shack here at Nit Nat Narrows, and this is an iconic place. Carl, one of the owners, has been here for 49 years, almost 50, so it's incredible. Fresh crab, they're shucking it just over there, and man, what a way to make it to the halfway point and just feast on all of this goodness. And now we're gonna go and grind it out on the trail again.
I didn't say anything.
Nobody lost an eye.
You just about got me.
Sorry.
We don't count the ones that start here. They come down and then go that way.
Now after a belly full of crab meat, someone will ferry you across the inlet where you can crank out the remaining kilometers to Sutsiat Falls. Now I'm not exaggerating when I say that every corner of the West Coast Trail has a view worth stopping for. But if you're on a schedule like us, you will have to kind of pick and choose where you take in the scenery and enjoy your Kodak moments. This was a great spot for the boys. This is the site for the Sukana Patrol Cabins. These cabins host the West Coast Trail's Trail Guardians. The Guardians are Indigenous stewards who maintain the trail, assist hikers, and share cultural and historical knowledge of the land. They play a vital role in preserving the land's safety, integrity, and connection to its Indigenous heritage. As we got to Sutsiat, the views were incredible, but a little too cool and a little too damp for a swim tonight, so we settled in for the evening.
You guys are hungry.
Cut and manipulate, but it's pretty.
As you make your way through the West Coast Trail, you will notice these buoys everywhere. John found this one washed up on shore. He carved his name into it to leave behind as a trail marker or kind of a hiker's token.
Okay, now I have to get down.
Now doing the dishes isn't my favorite task, but this view certainly made it a little bit more manageable. As I was last to leave Sutsiat Falls this morning, I took a few minutes to really enjoy one of my favorite campsites so far. We traversed the ocean before ducking back into the forest where we would finally hit a feature that I have been excited for since seeing this clip from another creator. I tried to convince John to jump off the cable car, but he had already donated his flotation device, so instead, we just enjoyed the ride in silence. That pretty much winds down our 13 kilometers to Michigan, but with that being said, we're still having a good time.
It's still recording.
Is it still recording?
Yeah.
Nice. And you,
And I'm zooming in a little bit.
this is the biggest one I've seen.
Yeah.
Catch, John.
On the final stretch, I noticed the group seemed to savor the last of the hike in their own way. At one point, I branched off to visit a very popular spot on the West Coast Trail, as it is basically a guarantee for wildlife. This was my genuine reaction.
Get some good shots with the bigger camera. Holy, give me a second.
I was actually able to spend a decent amount of time down here. These guys were so fun to shoot, they gave me so many different looks. And at times I felt like they were just putting on a show. Over the past 6 days, we have experienced all the challenges that the West Coast Trail is known for. And at times, those kilometers felt endless. But also 6 days of unforgettable views those challenges conquered, and certainly memories made. A huge part of that being Chris from Play West. His deep knowledge of the land combined with his kindness and patience made every challenge feel manageable and every moment more meaningful. From navigating the tricky terrain to sharing stories that brought the trail's rich history to life. Chris amplified this experience in every single way. Thank you for making the West Coast Trail an unforgettable journey, Chris. Something that I realized on this adventure is that the trail doesn't just test you, it changes you. And as we step off, tired and sore, there's already a part of us wondering, when will we be back to the West Coast Trail?